What's up, guys? It's Tealus here. Welcome back to True Shot Lodge for the final time. It is daytime here. It is looking really nice, and we are ready to look at the last class overview for Hunters in World of Warcraft Legion. Unfortunately, I could not get to the True Shot Lodge on the actual 110 servers because they finally, I guess, worked around my little fix that I had found to get myself to True Shot Lodge. So instead, I'm here on my leveling server, but thankfully, I actually have my hunter to level 110, so I'll be able to show you everything, and we will be able to look through the PvP talents very well once we get into the actual PvP talent section, which will not arrive until the next video. This is a 2-video series looking at Marksmanship Hunters. The first video will be looking at the abilities that have changed for a Marksmanship Hunter, as well as the artifact weapon, the bow that is on my back right now. And then in the second video, we will be looking at the PvP talents and PvE talents for a Marksmanship Hunter coming in World of Warcraft Legion. Now, it should be noted that even though there are a lot of changes for a Marksmanship Hunter, this is oddly enough the least changed of the Hunter specializations. You guys have seen already Survival and Beast Mastery. You've seen just how much they have changed. This class has changed even more so. Well, I shouldn't say even, sorry, that's incorrect. This class has changed, it feels just as much, but it is the least changed of them. So it's going to be kind of interesting going through these changes. It is going to be the spec that feels most akin to being the old school hunter, but for the most part, everything has changed. We're going to go ahead and use these training targets on the far right hand side because this is a very powerful AoE spec, and I kind of want to have these multiple targets in range that you guys can see. So with that, let's go ahead and get into the removed, changed, and new abilities for a Marksmanship Hunter, and then we will get into the artifact weapon. So with that, just like all the other hunter specs, a lot has been removed. So aspect of the cheetah has been removed, aspect of the pact has been removed. How you remember those spells has been removed. Aspect of the cheetah comes back as a new ability, nothing the way it used to be. Camouflage has been removed. It's actually a talent for Marksmanship Hunters, so you can get that back as a talent, but for the most part, camouflage has been removed. Chimera Shot has been removed. You guys have already seen Beast Mastery receive Chimera Shot, so it's kind of odd how they're changing some things around with that, but Chimera Shot has been removed. It is Beast Mastery now in their talent tree. Distracting Shot has been removed. I'm not really sure why Blizzard decided to get rid of that, but they've just removed Distracting Shot overall from all hunters. Hunters have lost all traps, at least Marksmanship Hunters and Beast Mastery Hunters. They are now survival only, so Explosive Trap, Freezing Trap, Ice Trap, all three of those have been removed, and they are now exclusive to, a Survival Hunter. This is, I think, is a little awkward, not having your traps. It makes sense for it to be a part of Survival, but at the same time, it's a little weird not having your traps that you normally would have as a Marksmanship Hunter. Maybe Beast Mastery, I was kind of okay with the traps not being there, but with Marksmanship, it's kind of like you would set your traps up for defense, and then you can attack from range, and then if that didn't work, you could you had the traps to fall back on, and you don't have that anymore, which is kind of weird, but it's no longer available for Marksmanship Hunter. Kill Shot has been removed from all hunters. This hurts. It really sucks not having Kill Shot. I really hate not having Kill Shot. It would make most sense to have it still on Marksmanship Hunters at least, but they've decided to literally get rid of all of basically Kill Shot from all executes from all classes. So Kill Shot isn't the only thing that got hit. Hammer of Wrath, etc. They've all just been removed, and you no longer have access to them for many specs across the game. Master's Call has been removed. This is a survival PvP talent now. It really makes no sense. It really should be a Beast Mastery like baseline, but we've been through that in the Beast Mastery video. But it is removed from Marksmanship, so you no longer have it. Tranquilizing Shot has been removed. This really stinks. I loved using Tranquilizing Shot. It was so funny to go up against the Frost Mage and Trank Shot off their ice barrier, which was like their only way of surviving a battle, and then they just melted to pieces. And they usually would sit there kind of dumbfounded, like, how did that happen? And it all started with Trank Shot, so it really does hurt not having Trank Shot anymore. I don't know why they removed it. They really had no reason to remove it, and so it is disappointing that they removed that from the game. Steady Shot has been removed. I am perfectly happy about this. I hated Steady Shot. I complained multiple times during Warlords of Draenor that Steady Shot and Cobra Shot, in their current form, the cast time generating focus, was not, did not work very well for PvP hunters. It just didn't, because all you had to do was just hide behind, you know, a quick line of sight, and then you were constantly focus starved. And thankfully, any type of focus generating ability now that is available to hunters is now instant cast. They got the message from Warlords of Draenor. It is now finally in for this time around for World of Warcraft Legion, and it is much better. Hunters are much smoother in PvP than they have been in the past. However, as you can tell right now, we're losing a lot of, you know, kind of survivability here. Trap Launcher has been removed. Basically all the traps, you know, there's really no reason for Trap Launcher if all the traps have been removed, so makes sense that that is gone. Careful Aim has been removed. It's actually back as a talent. So you have access to that through a talent. That was a passive I'll just go ahead and pull it up here. It was a passive that allowed you Aim Shot, Arcane Shot, your other abilities to deal more, to have a increased critical strike chance with targets above 30%, 80% health. That is available as a talent still, but it is gone from baseline for hunters. Lethal Shots has been removed. Any type of baseline buff that was a raid-wide buff or just a basic buff for yourself, like Lethal Shots was, has been removed from the game. I think Lethal Shots was multi-strike. It wasn't multi-strike. It was Mastery or something. I can't remember. It's been removed from the game. Critical. It might have been Critical Strike. They've just removed all those flatline buffs. You know, the ones that were like, hey, here's a hint on what your main secondary stats to be. I thought that was silly. Players should find that out for themselves. They shouldn't have their hand held to try and figure out their class. That was really kind of baby pandering there, and it stunk to have that in the game, so I'm glad that it's gone. And then, as I just mentioned, True Shot Aura is now gone, and that's because all raid buffs, as I mentioned, all raid buffs are basically removed from the game, and that's pretty much what True Shot Aura was by that time. So, let's look at the changed abilities. First, Aimed Shot. You can no longer cast it while moving, okay? And its cast time has been reduced by 0.25 seconds. So you now have to stand still while using Aim Shot. This hurts. I know it does. And if I know you guys see that that lock and load trigger there, you're just gonna have to wait for the Talents video to understand how it functions. I will say, whereas Marksmanship, or I should say Beast Mastery, receives some stuff from Marksmanship. Marksmanship's actually going to receive a lot of stuff from Survival. So we're going to see that in the talent tree. But for the most part, Marksmanship, Survival, the abilities that they lost were their main traps, and then they're going to receive some stuff from Survival in their talent tree to kind of round out the spec as a whole. But Aim Shot now, still same focus cost, deals a ton of damage, 50 focus. This is your main focus dump, okay? Aim Shot's going to be your main focus dump. I know this makes it very difficult in PvP, but there are other options and stuff for you to do in PvP, which could help out depending on the way you look at things. And Locked and Load is one of those things. Having the ability to use Aim Shot on Lock and Load can really help a lot, which we'll get to in the PvP talent tree. I mean, the PvE talent tree. But for now, just know Aim Shot, cast time reduced by 0.25 seconds, and you can no longer cast it while moving. Deterrence has been renamed Aspect of the Turtle. It now lasts 8 seconds, up from 5, and that's pretty much it. It's got a new spell visual. Got a little turtle shell over yourself, really nice. That is the new Deterrence. In past videos, I think I just said Deterrence was removed, and Aspect of the Turtle is a brand new ability. But the more and more you look at them, the more and more you realize that it's just the same ability, except for there is they've basically just renamed it and given it a new visual. Not sure why they did this. I mean, maybe they had bigger plans for Aspect of the Turtle, and then they realized, hey, um, you know, this isn't going to work the way we want it to, or this is too much like Deterrence, so then they just decided to use Deterrence, but then why get rid of Deterrence's spell visuals and effects that are already in the game? So I'm not really sure why they did this, they just did. Here's where things get interesting as a marksmanship hunter. Multi-shot will no longer cost focus, and it instead generates focus. And this is where, I guess you could say marksmanship becomes a really powerful AoE ability. By the way, I do not know where the two wolves spawn. They started spawning in the middle of my spawning in the middle of my leveling. I think by the time I got to like level 105 or something, and I started getting them, and I don't know what they spawn from. I think they will only spawn out in the open world. They won't actually spawn in like PvP or something. I could be wrong, but because I've seen a load of fairy dragons show up around a balanced druid before, and I've never seen those before except while leveling. So I think it's just something you get while leveling. But anyways, back to multi-shot. It generates 2 focus per target hit. So I'm hitting 4 targets. I'm getting 8 focus every time I hit now instead of losing focus. So this is something changed, and then it plays into one of the new abilities, which is really fun and interesting. So with that, let's move to Bombardment. So Bombardment no longer affects multi-shot focus. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up Bombardment here so you can see. Bombardment, your critical strikes with multi-shot increase multi-shot damage by 60% for 5 seconds. So now that it no longer costs focus, instead generates it, you can get your multi-shot to start dealing some serious damage, which is pretty cool. So you're going to have some great raid-wide damage utility with marksmanship here, and I really do like that. So with that, let's look at rapid fire. I originally was just going to say that this has been removed until I realized that it is very similar to a new ability. So rapid fire has been renamed True Shot. Not True Shot or just called True Shot. Okay? But it now also causes multi-shot and arcane shot to apply Hunter's Mark. That is something that we're going to talk about in new abilities. Hunter's Mark is back in a way. So do understand that Hunter's Mark is back in a way, and that rapid fire will now cause your multi-shot and arcane shot to apply Hunter's Mark, and they generally do not apply Hunter's Mark. So that's just something that I want to, put out there that you know for future reference when we get to the new abilities. Lastly, the changes to Mastery Sniper Training. This is the best change for hunters by far. I absolutely hate it as a hunter. And they put this in as marksmanship hunter for so long, and it's been such a turnoff for hunters for so long. The fact that you had to stand still for a while to get this damage buff. That is now removed. Thank goodness. I was so sick of being in PvP, and it did not work in PvP. It was the same problems with Cobra Strike and Steady Shot. This was another thing that I complained about a lot, is having to stand still. And their idea was like, oh, if you stand still, you're like setting up your aim. Well, there comes a point in which realism meets actual fun value. Okay, and you cannot sacrifice fun value for realism, and that's what they were doing. Okay, there comes a point in which the realism is just it's too out there, and it just becomes unfun, and that's what was happening with Master Sniper Training. Oh, I'm sitting here lining up that big shot. No, that's dumb. Okay, so that has been removed. In addition, the damage increase on Mastery Sniper Training is much bigger. So Mastery Sniper Training, the range of all your abilities is increased by 14%, and the damage of all focus spending abilities is increased by 57%. Before, it used to be like the range of your abilities, the critical strike chance, the damage increase is all increased by a flat 9%, so long as you're standing still for X amount. That's no longer the case. Now it's just flat. Your range is increased by 14%, and your focus spending abilities such as aim shot are now deal 57% more damage. So Mastery is pretty powerful on a marksmanship, and I'm perfectly happy to use Mastery now that they have actually changed that to something a little bit more worthwhile and a little bit more fun. They've gotten rid of that stupid stand still section of Mastery, which I'm completely happy It is gone. So you can get an idea of the range of abilities now. I have a 46-yard range in this gear at the moment. I'm not quite sure how high it gets, but it does start to stack up. I will say it does start to stack up. My eye level's at 786. PvPers are locked in at something like, I think, 840 or something. The baseline gear that you start getting when you reach 110, I just got to 110, so I do not have, like, I've not gone out and gone 110 gear. 110, the base gear that you start getting out of 110 is 805 and above, 810 and above. So your mastery level is going to increase, and I'm not quite sure how high your range will be, but the idea for marksmanship is for them to be able to outrange every class in the game, which makes sense. You're the marksmanship hunter. That's enough realism for me. You don't have to stand still or whatever. That just made no sense. So, with that, let's go ahead and look at the new abilities for a marksmanship hunter. First is going to be Aspect of the Cheetah. I did say this returned in name only, and it's basically Aspect of the Cheetah, 3-minute cooldown, increases your movement speed by 90% for 3 seconds, and then by 30% for another 9 seconds. So I believe the spell visual is still the same, but you get this nice, huge increase in movement speed, and then a small movement speed for a little bit afterwards. So it's a defensive measure that you now have to replace the fact that you no longer have Explosive Trap, Freezing Trap, Ice Trap, etc. That's kind of nice. For the most part, other than Master's Call, you lost Master's Call and you lost your traps. And basically just think of Aspect of the Cheetah taking the place of your Ice Trap, I should say. Let's put it that. It takes the place of your Ice Trap. So there's one ability kind of taking its place. Next new ability, Arcane Shot is back. I was actually really surprised. It's been a while since I played Marksmanship Hunter back on Live Client. Probably, and that's mostly because of stupid things like steady focus and, you know, the mastery. Those really bother me, and I'm so glad that they're gone. So, basically, steady focus was in the talent tree. We'll get to that in the next video. But, you know, with the removal of mastery sniper training, I'm back to, you know, trying out and playing Marksmanship Hunter. And I will say that I leveled the majority of my time as a Marksmanship Hunter. And I enjoyed it. It was very easy. It is one of the strongest specs to level as. I would say it's really neck and neck with Beastmaster Hunter in terms of its ability to level. Very strong. So, with that being said, Arcane Shot is back. I was surprised when I went back to my old version and realized that Arcane Shot actually wasn't there. I can't remember what spec it was on, but it was not on Marksmanship. Instead, Marksmanship was basically using Steady Shot to generate stuff, and then Aim Shot was its main expender. Maybe I missed a talent that I had that actually replaced my Arcane Shot there, but I could not find it on my bars, so I was kind of surprised there. But Arcane Shot is a little different now. It deals damage, arcane damage, basic, but it generates 5 focus. So this is your focus generator now. So this is really cool. You know, I complained about Cobra Shot and Steady Shot. The main complaint I had with those was that it was not instant cast. It really needed to be instant cast for PvP purposes. This is now instant cast. So now you can just fire off arcane shots as much as you want to get your focus up, and then you can burn it with aim shot down to 0 pretty quickly. I'm able to do this though. Lock and load is allowing me to keep my focus up pretty high. So, aim shot is your focus generator right here. You can see my focus starting to jump up as I use it, and that's pretty cool. So, with that being said, the next new ability is going to be bursting shots. So, explosive traps replacement is here. So, Aspect of the Cheetah is basically the thing that will replace your ice trap. Bursting shot is what replaces your explosive trap. And bursting shot, 10 focus, 30-second cooldown, fire an explosion bolt at all enemies in front of you, knocking them back, disorienting them for 4 seconds, dealing 11,000 physical damage. So, just going to use it up here real close. You see right there, hits everyone in range and knocks them back. I'm not sure about the actual distance of the knockback. I would expect it to be somewhat large because, you know, the whole part of a Marks Hunter is you having range compared to the other person, and I would expect it to be at least a 20 or 30 yard knockback, but I'm not quite sure. I hope it's not something really wimpy and just like knocks them back 10 yards and then that's it. So Hopefully it'll be a lot more. It's disorienting them as all, so this is kind of the return for Scattershot. However, I'm not going to say it's the return for Scattershot because we still have the PvE and PvP videos to get to. So, it is its own new ability. It's a little bit different. It knocks them back and disorients them. It's pretty cool. Exhilaration is now baseline. It was a talent, it is now baseline. It's a little different from Marksmanship Hunters. Marksmanship Hunters, they're playing into this idea that you don't have a pet, okay? They've decided that baseline you're going to have a pet and that you can talent into not having a pet. They decided that while there were a lot of people who didn't like having a pet, there were quite a lot of people who actually still liked having a pet. So instead of their original intent, which was to make Marksmanship a pure petless class no matter what, we'll get to it in the video. Lone Wolf is still there, very early in the talent tree, except for at the very end, and you can play without a pet. But basically, with Exhilaration, they want to kind of emphasize that you technically are not playing with that. We feel that this should be a petless class, is what they're saying. So instead of 30% heal on yourself, 100% heal on your pet, it's just 50% flat heal on yourself. And that's it. It does not heal your pet at all. So that's different from the other exhilarations on Survival and Beast Mastery Hunter. This one is just flat heal on yourself. So 50% of your health is quite a lot. It's a great survivability mechanism, and I believe there is even a passive that we'll get to in a second that will kind of make it even stronger. Allow it to be used more, I should say. Next new ability is Marked Shot. So this is the new ability, and this will really play in the rotation. Marked Shot. 30 focus, rapidly fire shots at all targets with your Hunter's Mark, dealing 66,000 physical damage and making them vulnerable for 6 seconds. Vulnerable is damage increased by Marked Shot and Aim Shot by 150%, last 6 seconds stack up to one time. I need to change a talent here so I can give you the actual baseline of that. Of what it actually is, because that is not accurate. Vulnerable, damage taken from Marked Shot and Aim Shot increased by 25%, lasts 30 seconds, stacks up to 3 times. So that is the baseline for Marked Shot. What I read first off is something we'll look at in the talent trees. The beginning of the ability still stays the same. Rapidly fires shots at everything with your with your Hunter's Mark. So before I get into showing Marked Shot and everything, let me explain Hunter's Mark, which is a passive. Your auto shots have a chance to cause your next arcane shot or multi-shot to apply Hunter's Mark. Okay? Hunter's Mark activates Marked Shot. So you cannot actually use Marked Shot until you actually have a Hunter's Mark on the target. So I actually just got the Hunter's Mark passive to proc right there. So I'm going to use it on multi-shot. So now everyone has Hunter's Mark on them. You can see vulnerabilities are exposed, and it activates Marked Shot. Now I can use Marked Shot, and actually the crazy arrows that you saw coming out of nowhere, that's actually an elite talent that you will get for the artifact weapon. Excuse me, I got a little lost in my words there. That is an artifact ability right there. Marked Shot is a little bit different in how it shows. Let me show you again. Hopefully it won't show up. As you can see, I just fire red arrows at all the targets. That is what Marked Shot does. So that is the difference between the two. So basically, and it builds up over time. So as long as I'm able to get more Marked Shots off, as I'm going to be able to get right here, if I'm able to get more Marked Shots off like I am here, this basically now has 2 stacks, or it has 3 stacks because it lasts for 30 seconds. So that means my aim shot's now doing 75% more damage. It's all doing more damage, and it lasts for quite a while. So as you can see, it's still on there. It's an interesting mechanic for PvE. You have to make sure that it's still on there and still on your target. So something to look forward to. It changes up, it changes up Marksmanship Hunters a little bit. Makes them a little bit different. And the fact that multi-shot does not cost focus, it generates focus, makes things different as well. And when you consider that Marked Shot hits everything hit by your Hunter's Mark, and then Hunter's Mark can proc off of multi-shot, now you start to get an idea of how powerful of an AoE damage class Marksmanship Hunter is. I'm not really sure how raids are going to turn out, but it's very possible that Marksmanship Hunter could be the actual #1 top AoE damage dealing spec in the game by far. Not even close. Especially when we get into talents, it's going to be kind of absurd. So just look out for that. And as you can see right here, as I use it again, it all refreshes up to 3 stacks. So I'm basically always able to keep probably 3 stacks. The talent that I had selected for in the talent tree is probably not something that PvEers will want to take, because it's so easy to keep this 75 stack on there. And I'm dealing a lot of damage doing this here. So it's pretty cool. I really do like it. And it's interesting. I like Mark Shot. It's something interesting. They brought it in to change up Marksmanship Hunter. And with that, that's pretty much everything that you need to know in terms of how Marksmanship Hunter has really changed with World of Warcraft Legion. Yes, it's still closest to Hunters as they used to be. And, you know, the changes are your focus generator now is instant cast. You now have something like Mark Shot. And that is a proc that you have available to you. You still have your aim shot dump, which is the same, and then you're going to have other abilities along the line, and you're able to keep you're trying to keep the vulnerability on the target for as long as possible. That is basically the new Marksmanship Hunter. It is the closest to the way Hunter is on live. You have extended range now. And you're basically trying to deal as much damage as possible from as far away as possible, which is pretty cool. So, with that being said, that is well, not quite. We have one more little change, new ability to look over before I get to the artifact weapon. And I mentioned that this was coming a little bit early when I discussed Exhilaration. Hunting Party, which, if you remember, Hunting Party was actually, I believe, a survival talent back in the old talent tree. I can't remember if it stayed with survival for a little bit after that, but I do remember it being in the old survival hunter tree. I remember this icon as well. Hunting Party, after you kill a target, the remaining cooldown Exhilaration is reduced by 30 seconds. So this is really nice to have. Heal-wise, Exhilaration is a 2-minute cooldown, so each time you kill a target, you know, that's another, that's a fourth of, you know, its cooldown just going away, which is pretty awesome. So, it's survivability there just for Marksmanship Hunters, which is really nice. So overall, in terms of ability, you have Bursting Shot, which replaces your Explosive Trap. You have Ice Trap, which is replaced by Aspect to the Cheetah. And then you have Exhilaration Baseline. So all in all, I would say you still have Concussive Shot. I would say all in all, you still have almost as much utility as you used to have on live clients. So I wouldn't be too worried about Marksmanship Hunters at the moment, or any time in the future right now. I think they're in a great shape. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the artifact weapon, which is going to be, basically it deals with the Windrunners, and I honestly chose Marksmanship Hunters because I was really excited about seeing what kind of Windrunner storyline was going on there. But before we get into it, let's look at the ability you first get, which is called Wind Burst. 20 seconds, 20 focus, 20-second cooldown, 1.33 second cast. Focus the power of wind through Thaz Dora, dealing 182,000 physical damage to your target and leaving behind a trail of wind for 5 seconds that increases movement speed of allies by 50%. This has great use in PvP rated battlegrounds, you name it. This is pretty awesome. Increasing their speed by 50% from a distance is really awesome. And I'm going to go back as far as I possibly can, which I believe is 46 yards. Let's see, we cut out right there, so 46 yards is about right here. I'm going to go ahead and fire for Wind Burst, and you're going to see this kind of thing on the ground here. It does look like it has a little bit of a trouble with over different cliffs and whatnot, so that's something that hopefully will be fixed. It's kind of like the problems with Heroic Leap and jumping up on cliffs. Hopefully that's something that will be fixed, but that's a lot of damage. 182,000, just to give you an idea, Aim Shot deals 58,000 damage. So Wind Burst dealing 182,000 damage, that's really powerful. It's a lot of damage. Right now, it says it's only dealing 125. I don't know if that's a bug or not. Maybe its tooltip is declaring that it's doing more damage than it should. But for the most part, this is a lot of damage that it can deal, and there are a lot of really power shot damage in abilities in Marksmanship Hunter, which we will get to as we go on. It's looking more and more like it could be a typo, but still 125,000 damage is way more than what aim shot's able to do. So on a 20-second cooldown, that's pretty good. Aim shot, though, is doing less damage against his target than is shown on here, so maybe it's something to do with the target. So it could actually be 182,000 damage, which is a lot. It's much more than any of your other abilities. 20 focus, 20 seconds. I see it in the rotation. I think it'll be really good. So, with that, let's go ahead and take a look at the artifact weapon. It is called Thaz-Dora, Legacy of the Windrunners. This is actually the Windrunner's bow. As you can see, you start right here with Windburst, and I've already kind of built my way up. These two things that are highlighted right here actually come from the top. Maybe in a different video I'll explain these abilities at the top, these artifact relic slots. I'll explain them at the top, but for right now don't worry about that. You basically still have to build your way through. It does not help you build your way through. For instance, if I had if I was still building through this area right here, I would still have to build 3 ranks through it, even though I would have 1 here. So, with that being said, Windburst is your first option. Your first ability that you'll get will be Wind Arrows, increase the damage dealt by aim shot by 10%. It's flat 10% damage increase. You have Quick Shot, reduces the cooldown of True Shot by 30 seconds. So that brings it down to a 2.5 minute cooldown, down from a 3 minute cooldown, so that's nice. 3 ranks, so that'll be 10% per rank. You have Critical Focus, Critical Shot, Arcane Shot, Critical Strikes generate 5 additional focus. So it's nice to have that extra focus burst for you. You have Survival of the Fittest. Activating Disengage reduces all damage you take by 10% for 4 seconds. So there's some survivability there. 3 ranks, so that'll be like 3, 6, and 10, or 3, 7, and 10, I'm not quite sure, on the damage reduction. And then you have the first ability right here, which is Call of the Hunter, and this is what you saw with the massive arrows shooting out. When you marked shot, Thaz-Dora has a chance to call forth a barrage of all wind arrows to strike vulnerable targets. You guys have seen it before. I'm not going to try here forever to try and get it to work again. But it does. You guys have seen it before, and you know what actually comes with it, so I'm not going to go into that. Precision increases the critical strike of mark shot by 3%. I believe that will be a maximum of 10% once at full rank. So it'll be 3, 7, and 10, or 3, 6, and 10. I'm not quite sure which it is. So 3 ranks there. We have Marked for Death. Mark Shot increases your aim shot critical strike chance against targets, the target by 5% for 10 seconds. 3 ranks, so this will go up to 15%. Increasing your critical aim shot critical strike chance against target is really powerful. Let me go ahead and get out of combat here so I can stop firing off there. Your epic ability here is Bullseye. When your abilities damage a target below 20% health, you gain 3% increased critical strike chance for 6 seconds, stacking up to 30 times. I'm kind of wondering how this plays out, because, it stacks up to 30 times, and if you want to get off as many abilities at a target below 20% health as possible and get it up to 6 seconds, it could be possible that when a PvE boss drops below 20% health, I'm not quite sure if this is correct or not, but you may see Arcane Shot spam until you get 30 stacks before switching back into your aim shot rotation. Not quite sure about that, but it's very possible. 30 times, 3% increased critical strike chance. It refreshes. It should refresh. So just imagine that 3%, 30 times. That's a 90% critical strike chance. So you have an amazing execute through Thaz-Dora as a marksmanship hunter. In a PvE format, more I should say. You really won't see this too much in PvP, but that is an amazing execute ability. You have a 90% chance when below 20% health, in addition to if you decide to take talents that allow you to have it above 80% health as well. So that's pretty cool. You have a lot of crit chance. Next ability here is going to be Rapid Killing. True Shot also increases your critical strike damage by 50% for its duration, so it really makes True Shot a really powerful cooldown to have. as rapid fire always was. Down here, if I decide to go the opposite direction, we have called shot. Increase the damage by multi-shot by 3%. That'll be 3, 6, and 10, 3, 7, and 10. I'm not quite sure which way it is, but that'll be really powerful. We have Mark of the Windrunner. Windburst also applies vulnerability to the target. So Windburst only hits one target. Even though it leaves a trail of wind and it kind of looks like AoE, it only hits one target. But that'll be another ability that is available to apply vulnerability. Right now, the only thing that can apply vulnerability is Marked Shot. So that'll be something that'll be useful in PvP with the talent that I had earlier. It'll be useful also in PvE to also have Windburst able to do that. So that's a strong talent right there. Only one rank, so you just get that right off the bat. Deadly Aim increases the critical strike damage dealt by aim shot by 5%. That'll be 3 ranks, so that'll be up to 15%. And then you pair that with the one that increases the critical strike chance of aim shot, critical strike chance against the target by 5%. It makes aim shot really powerful. Aim shot is your focus dump, and it's meant to be really powerful. Gust of Wind reduces the cooldown of bursting shot by 5%. That's going to be 5% per rank, so 15% overall. That'll bring it down to, it's 30 seconds, 15% is, quick math in my head, that's 4.5 seconds out, so it's around 25.5 seconds for bursting shot then. Here you have Windrunner's Guidance, increases the damage done by marked shot by 3%, that'll be 3 ranks, so 3, 7, and 10, up to 10%. Down here we have Healing Shell. Aspect of the Turtle heals you for 12% of your maximum health over its duration. So that's going to be 36% of your maximum health over its duration. So that's, you really have some great survivability. You have the Disengage up here, and then you have the Healing Shell. So you can heal 50% of your health through Exhilaration, and then with Healing Shell, another 36% of your health, 3 ranks, 12% per rank, when you use Aspect of the Turtle. That's so strong. That's going to be a nuisance in PvP. I know people hated deterrence before, but seeing that little shell pop up now and then it heals you for a huge chunk is pretty strong. 8 seconds, basically over the duration of that healing up for that much. That's pretty powerful, and that's going to be annoying for PvPers to deal with. The last ability here is going to be Legacy of the Windrunners. Aim Shot has a chance to coalesce 6 extra wind arrows that also shoot your target. So it's just more power into Aim Shot, which is really strong. So that buffs Aim Shot a lot. You guys now have an idea of how the new Marksmanship Hunter works now. Honestly, I think it's in a great place. It's completely different from, the way Marksmanship Hunter used to work. I am so happy that Mastery Sniper Training has gotten rid of the most cumbersome element of it, and now Mastery Sniper Training is all about increasing the range and damage of your focus spending abilities, which is way better than the way it used to be. And then things like Steady Focus that have been moved into the talent tree, we'll get into the next episode, or video, sorry, much better than it used to be, and I am enjoying Marksmanship Hunter way more. This is actually the first time I've ever leveled as a Marksmanship Hunter. I almost always exclusively leveled as Beast Mastery because it was way better, and then I used Survival when I reached max level back when I first got my Hunter in Wrath of the Lich King. So things are changing, and Marksmanship Hunter has great potential, a lot of range, and they're intended in PvP to be the high-ranged, kind of damage dealers at range. They're supposed to be able to outrange everybody. And then at the same time, in PvE, you got some really interesting options in terms of keeping that vulnerability up, and the rotations that you'll have, and you're going to get more out of it in the PvE and PvP talent videos. You're going to understand, well, with your PvE talents, at least for PvE, to understand what else you can possibly do with this spec, which is even more fun. So, it is the least changed of the Hunter specs, but it is no doubt very much different from the way it is on live. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and you'll join for the next video looking at PvE and PvP talents. I will see you guys later. Tearless out.